Hello everybody, Alex Nurse here from Toronto Performance. For this week, we're going to look at our part 2 progression in our pulling series. So remember our first one, we looked at the importance of simply just learning how to properly retract the scapula or shoulder blade before doing anything else. So now we're going to take that a step further and look at an actual horizontal pull. And what that looks like in these progressions would be a horizontal pull from a full kneeling position and then from a half kneeling position using a cable. So oftentimes after learning how to move the shoulder blade properly, people go right into using dumbbells, and there's nothing inherently wrong with that. Dumbbells are a great form of rowing, and we use them all the time at Toronto Performance. But sometimes you may want to use the cable machines first before going on to dumbbells. And the reason for that would be oftentimes using dumbbells, we're in a bent over position, and they're a bit more challenging in terms of their sort of anti-gravity characteristics, and also they can be a bit heavier. So oftentimes when people are doing horizontal pulling with a dumbbell and they're bent over, what you'll see is a tendency to row and move the upper back during a row as you normally would, but then they also tend to twist, and you see some movement in the lumbar spine, which we don't want. Right? When we row, we want to just have the thoracic spine moving while having a nice stable lumbar spine and lower back. So the full kneel version of the cable row is a great way to allow the glutes to be particularly involved, since they will be the prime muscles responsible for helping keep you stable in the lower body. And with glutes that are well engaged, it becomes very, very tough to actually move the lumbar spine or use the lumbar spine in a way that you don't want to. And so it's a great teaching tool to learn what it feels like to keep the lumbar spine safe and stable while moving the upper back. And then we go into the half kneeling position afterward, where it's a little bit less stable and it's easier to recruit the lumbar spine, but you can use a bit more weight, and you can give your thoracic spine or upper back more practice in rowing in a realistic way. So I'm going to shoot those for you here first. So you set the cable up about shoulder height from where you would be when kneeling. Get into a full kneel. Let the toes kind of dig into the ground. And from here, you're going to sequence the row. You're going to allow a full thoracic stretch or a full protraction of the shoulder blade like we did in part 1 off the bench. And you squeeze the shoulder blade together, pull it back as you row towards yourself. Now, one important contraindication to use or to think about when rowing is that when we pull in the horizontal row, we want to avoid having the shoulder come forward in front of the chest. As you oftentimes see people kind of do a row and the elbow will go too far back and the shoulder, or the humeral head, the top of the shoulder will come forward, and that can just cause some messy stuff happening where you kind of chew up the tendons that protect the shoulder at the front. So when you pull, only focus on a good retraction and squeeze, and stop with the elbow at the rib cage to make sure you don't have that head of the shoulder jutting forward. So again, glutes are engaged. We're in a full kneel. We squeeze the shoulder blades together and we pull elbow to rib cage. And then to progress that, same idea, one foot up. Now you've only got the glute engaged and one leg behind you. And the toe, once again, digging to the ground. Same idea, squeeze the shoulder blades together and pull elbow to rib cage. Always think about that nice full protraction at the bottom of the movement. So that's it, a very similar next progression. And after we master the cable ones, we really learn to keep the body still and to avoid rotation or movement in the lumbar spine. You can move on to the next one. Thanks again, guys, for joining in. Don't forget to like and subscribe so we can keep bringing you guys all these goodies.